Welcome to Tools for Parents to Support Their Child in week 2. And just a reminder, I am Joel. I'm the Elementary School Curriculum Coordinator. And there's my email address if you need me or want to have a talk about anything at all to do with curriculum in the elementary school. This is the second video, as I said, of following on from the first video from last week. And these sort of 10 tools for parents are taken from Project Zero and Harvard, and the author, Ron Richard, who has created these 2 books, Making Thinking Visible and Creating Cultures of Thinking. And last time out, we looked at developing a growth mindset, the question, what makes you say that? And then the idea of challenge but don't rescue. And today we're going to move on, and we're going to think about 3 things. We're going to think about what questions did you ask today? We're going to focus on the learning ahead of the work. And we're going to think about supporting your child in arguing effectively and persuasively, and how that can help in other facets of life. So today we're going to think about the questions that we ask. And, as a parent myself, it's very easy to think about the normal question of like, how was school today, or what did you learn? And by changing the language that we use with our children, it can help and support them to think about what we value. And so, for instance, as a parent, I know that I have asked this question for plenty of time. How was your day at school? And the response that I would have got was, or not a lot. Or what did you learn today? And again, the response is probably not going to be great. How can we be specific with our language or with our questioning so that our students actually reveal a little bit more to us? So here's some examples of things that we could ask instead. So did you ask a good question today? It prompts the student to think about, well, that's something that is valued, asking a question, asking a good question. Or what made you smile today? Or who did you sit with at lunch? Or how were you kind today? Or how were you brave today? Or did you help anyone today? Or what did you do that was creative? And by changing the questions to being a bit more specific about some of the behaviors and some of the things that we want and some of the things that we value from our child, then it makes them think about these values throughout their day. So just a few question stems there to think about, both during distance learning right now, but also when we get back to face-to-face learning in school. So the next one is focusing on the learning over the work. And there's this quote here from Ron Richard, the author of those books. And he says, work is something we do for someone else. Learning is what we do for ourselves. And one of the things that we're trying to shift a little bit in schools around the world is changing the word work and replacing it with the word learning. And again, that comes down to the value that we have. So if work is something that we do for someone else, then why should I do it myself? Whereas learning is something that we do for ourselves because we are learning. So what does this really look like? Well, learning is really the goal of the assignment. It's the product. Thinking back to one of the previous videos around product. And really the learning is the process. It's like, how are you going to get there? How did you get there? And so learning versus work is very connected to process versus product. So when we focus on the learning over the work, then our children know that completing or doing something is not the important piece of it. It is the process of the learning and the opportunity to deepen their understanding for something that has purpose to them, whatever the focus. And so one of the things that we're trying to change the language that we're using with students at school is maybe not calling it homework, but calling it home learning. Just something to think about when using language, specific language with your child at home. And the last thing today, we're going to look at supporting your child in arguing effectively and persuasively. This is important in terms of this can help students and children to be able to think and to be able to consider different viewpoints and to think in other ways. And so research has shown that teenagers who argued constructively with their parents by building a particular way of an argument together, that they're actually better at being able to use this in other facets of their life. So they're able to have a conversation, and to be able to explain their thinking in other ways. And so, one of the things to think about here is, we don't want to be arguing. We don't want our child to feel angry. And so, we let them know, first of all, that this can only happen when they're calm. The first thing is to think of the structure of like how this is organized. And so the first thing is to think about them to state their goal, or their need. What is it they want? And then remind them to lay out their argument, so explaining why this might be a good idea. So what evidence do they have to back this up? And after hearing the argument, one of the things to do as an adult is then to repeat it back to them so that they feel heard and so that they feel valued. And one of the things, again, to focus on really is the idea of, well, I really value the way that you put this argument together and you backed it up with this, this, and this. So again, it's focusing on the way that they have structured this argument, and this will help them in other ways, maybe discussions in classrooms or in other situations. Okay, so that was a quick run through of those 3 areas. Next time we're going to go to the last 4, which is name and notice thinking, provide time to pursue passions, make your own thinking visible, and we're going to be thinking about fostering connections. Okay, and so again, there's just a few resources, a little bit more about some of these topics. So there's 50 questions to ask your child. And that's going to be in the presentation you can click on. And then it's how to teach a child to make an effective argument and win. There's a little bit more information that you might want to read there. These posters are things which you're helpful and supportive. They're available in English and Spanish. And you can just click on to these, and then that will take you to them. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
I can't wait to meet you.